وبعد. We're going to start inshallah we'll continue with the Tafseer of Surat Al-Qiyamah. We had arrived at ayah the page today. I do Surat Al-Qiyamah nice and slow. Well, I do that for a lot of the surahs, but this one specifically, I purposefully do. Others, I go slowly, not purposefully. I just can't seem to get my pace up. But for Surat Al-Qiyamah, I purposefully like to take it slowly because it's a very, very profound and deep surah. There's a lot of pieces worthy of reflection and contemplation within it. That would be a shame if I just kind of jogged through it, because the surah performs da'wah in a way that is tickling the intellect, not the emotions. Right? Surat Al-Insan al-Mursalat is going to be an example of da'wah that is targeting an emotion, targeting desire, the hope of what you can find Yawm al-Qiyamah in Ajr, Surat Al-Insan, or fear and reverence for the punishment, the just punishment that exists in Jahannam, which is Surat Al-Mursalat. But Surat Al-Qiyamah talks directly to the intellect. And I spent the first part of last week's session explaining the different types of da'wah and why it is that the Quran has these three examples in succession the way it has them. So go back to that if you haven't heard it. But Surah Al-Qiyamah is a very logical surah, and it performs the da'wah. It reminds you about Allah, tells you about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and about your deen in a way where it's challenging your thought process, it's challenging your logic, it's challenging your purpose, it's challenging you as a conscious being, rather than a greedy or scared being. Because we are, by nature, greedy and scared. Scared of the future that we don't know about and all the pain and difficulties that it may carry, and greedy in a future that has everything that we want and more within it. And that's natural and normal, and no one faults you for having those emotions. It's just think about them farther than just your life. Think about Yawm al-Qiyamah, and then you're safe. If you just take that greed and put it one step after your death, and take that fear and put it one step after your death, and you're fine. But before that, before we talk to the emotions, to the heart, let's talk to the mind. The mind needs to be stimulated first. The mind is what controls the heart. The mind keeps tabs on how the heart is going to behave. Without a mind, your heart will take you into places that you should never have gone to. Like if you just follow your heart blindly, you will almost 100% of the time regret it. But when your mind is there to control, acknowledge the emotions, but also allow those emotions to be expressed and give yourself space to follow them in a reserved manner, then you can do a lot of good with that. Like there's a lot of khair that can come with that, which is how the deen works. The deen starts with the intellect, with the mind being stimulated, and then it invests your heart. Right? It invests your heart fully. You're told about the reward, you're told about the just punishment, and then you fall in love with everything in between. Right? And then your heart is fully invested in this beauty and everything that it has within it. And khalas, you're set for life. Once your heart is stimulated, you're set for life. But it won't be if your mind isn't first. Like if you built your emotions on a lie, the tower falls in a very violent manner. The structure comes crashing down in a way that is irreparable. So it's important that you always have your story straight. That you know why it is you're doing what you're doing, and there's clarity from an intellectual, psychological, logical perspective. You know exactly why you are doing what you're doing, so it's safe for you to invest your heart. See, the most vulnerable part of you are your emotions, and that's the most valuable part of you, right? You ask me for something. Money is the cheapest thing I can give you. Well, it's the cheapest thing I can give you because there's nothing attached to that. Here, you want some money? Here's money, right? Time, valuable. But then the most valuable thing that I have to offer you is my emotion, my passion, is my heart. To offer you that is the biggest deal of all, right? There's no moment where I am more vulnerable, where I am more exposed than the moment I offer my heart or my love to someone. My passion, I open up that way, right, and allow myself to be exposed in that manner. It's very, very dangerous. Right? So people are very reserved when they do it, and it's something that has to be done in a proper manner. So if you are someone who opens up all the time to everyone without any degree of thought or any degree of regulation, then you're setting yourself up for harm and for heartache and that will scar you. Right? It'll scar you because it'll make you disgruntled and hateful and and upset, and because you're being hurt in the most vulnerable part of who you are. So what is the intellect there for? To make sure that the space ahead of you is paved out, it's clean, it's clear. You can invest your heart safely here. So you can go ahead and, which is why, for example, in relationships with marriage is how you go. You don't go any other way, because marriage makes sure that you ask the right questions first. You get people who have experience to ask those questions for you, to pave it out, to make sure there's a safe space for you to invest your heart, to fall in love. But if you go ahead and do that before any of that happens, then you're at high risk. I'm not saying it's going to fail. I'm not saying every marriage works out either. I'm just saying that you're at high risk when you don't do it the right way, like when you're not making sure you're paving things out. So in the deen is a place where you invest your heart, 100%. That's what you should invest. Most people don't, unfortunately, because they don't understand it. But Islam, your deen, and your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and the Quran, that's where you put your heart out. But before you do that, just make sure that you're doing it right. Make sure that the reasoning is correct, so that you can invest safely your heart into something. Because it hurts when you have to recite. Like when you have to pull it all back, all the love that you showed, all the passion, all the emotion, all the empathy, all that. When you've shown all that, and now you have to pull it all back, it hurts. It doesn't come back the same way. It's scarred and it's changed, right? Your heart doesn't function the same way next time. It's a bit less, it's more hesitant. It's not as open. It's not as powerful, right? So that's why you have to protect it, which is why the first thing you do, you turn this on. Which is why Surat Al-Qiyamah is that first example of da'wah. It's talking to the part of you that is capable of reason. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ, right off the bat. I swear by the conscience, which is the piece of you that goes back and questions everything that you do, questions your decisions and your choices, and holds you accountable for what you're performing. I'm going to start reciting from ayah 7 because I want to get to the end of the page and I'm going to run out of time. And then I'll read it all in succession for you. At the end, I'll go through Surat Al-Qiyamah in translation for you from the beginning to end. I always do this. I find it really interesting because if you don't understand Arabic, you listen to Surat Al-Qiyamah even from a different language, even with a bad translation that I'm offering, you'll still find it to be very, very thought-provoking and very meaningful. So let's start with ayah number 7, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر So it sounded different this time at the end because the ra, if you look at this one, has a shadda on it. So al-basar, al-qamar, al-mafar, that's how it sounds. It's not al-mafar, no. It's al-mafar because the ra has a shadda on it. So when you stop on a letter that has a shadda, you have to emphasize the sound that the shadda makes. So you'll see a difference in how things, al-qamar, al-basar, al-mafar, and then akhar, and then al-mustaqar, it'll sound different. And the only other verses that have that in them are the verses in Surat Al-Qamar, really. It's just Surat Al-Qamar and Surat Al-Qiyamah that have them. The rest of the Quran doesn't really end with the rest of the Quran doesn't have verses that end with a ra. That doesn't have a ya or a waw before it, so it's an easier. But these ones are special. So before we continue, I'll just point out what these. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala swore by the Day of Judgment in its definition that is based on the reasoning behind it of why it's called Al-Qiyamah, because it's where Allah takes stands from people. You were offered this time to take a stand from Him. Decide what you're going to do about Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Believe, disbelieve, Tawheed, something else. Care, not care, you get time to take a stand from God. And then Yawm al-Qiyamah, He'll take a stand from you. He'll tell you what the judgment is based on. So that's what Yawm al-Qiyamah. He swears by Yawm al-Qiyamah. He swears by the conscience that He put inside of you, the piece of you that knows what's right, despite the fact that you asked the sheikh, despite the fact that you went to Google, and despite the fact that you wanted an opinion, you knew deep inside what the right thing was. You just have it in you, whether you listen to it or you don't. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَلَّنْ نَجْمَعَ عِظَامَهُ? Does the human being think that we are not going to reassemble his bones again? Bala, of course we will. And we will actually reassemble him down to the detail of his fingerprint. نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. We will perfectly put together back his fingerprint. بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانُ لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. The problem of the human being is not that he thinks that he won't be resurrected. The problem with the human being is that the human being wants an excuse to be able to behave with no guilt in whatever way he wants, without consequences, without regulations. That's what he wants. The human being hopes for an opportunity where he can justify to himself why he's going to perform haram and not feel guilty about it, because we don't want to feel guilty. We don't want the nafs al-lawama to say, why did you perform this action? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I would like to be able to live a life without guilt, where I can perform zina and drink and do this and not feel any guilt at all. That's what the human being wants. That's why he doesn't like to hear about Yawm al-Qiyamah and all this other stuff. You don't want to listen to it because they want a way, they're trying to shut their conscience up. But subhanAllah, he put a little voice inside of you. He put a voice inside of you that you know it's not healthy. You know it's not the right thing to do. But subhanAllah, it's how we are. يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. He wants to perform all these actions, so he goes around asking, when is this Yawm al-Qiyamah of yours that you're talking about? Is it near? Do I have time? Can I just do my thing? فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ. The day will come where the eyesight will be stunned. You will look at people's, a lot of Yawm al-Qiyamah's illustrations in the Quran is based on describing the eyes and the faces and the hearts of the people who are witnessing it. It's like Yawm al-Qiyamah is happening behind me. I'm going to describe for you the guy who's looking at it. A lot of the illustrations in the Quran is not just saying what's happening. Yes, many of that. Shamsu kuwirat idhan nujumun kadarat, it's there. But a lot of it is sometimes not just describing what's happening. It's describing what's happening to the person who's watching it. فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ. When the eyes are stunned. Al-barq is lightning. Right? Bariqa as a verb is to stun, because that's what electricity does. It stuns people. You look at the eyes, and the eyes are fixated, dilated. They can't move because they're stunned by what they're seeing in front of them. They've never seen anything like it before, and there's nowhere to run. And there's فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ. And the moon that was once nice and bright in the sky is dimmed. Al-khasf is when, that's why you have khusuf and kusuf, right? Kusuf is when the sun is dimmed, and khusuf is when the moon is dimmed. So they're dimmed. You can't see them very well, right? وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ. And the moon is dimmed. وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. And the cosmos starts to collide within itself. And the sun, that's millions of kilometers away from the moon, will collide into the moon, because everything starts to fall. Everything starts to crumble. The sky turns into little pieces and just starts to fall off. Right? We don't know. It's a scary thing, because there's no. يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانِ. The human being says at that moment, أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُّ. Where do I go? Where's the refuge? If you ever thought about catastrophes like global or weather-based catastrophes, or tornadoes, or earthquakes, or fires, or something like that, whenever that happens on a large scale, your feeling inside is that you need a safe space. You want a safe place. You want to be the person who's able to get out of the house, get into a car, take his family, and drive far away, and find a safe place to be, away from the tornadoes and the earthquakes and the volcanoes, away from all the danger. You imagine a place maybe under the ground that is prepared for doomsday or something. You think of a safe space so that you and your loved ones can be safe. Right? Where are you going to go when the whole universe is collapsing? Forget about the neighborhood beside you, or the city that you're living in, or the country that you're living in is falling to pieces. So you think, well, where is safe? Where do I go? Where do I seek refuge? You go to a different city or a different country. Where are you going to go when the whole universe starts to collapse? أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُّ. The human being asks. Where do I go? Where do I run? Give me a place to run to. There's nowhere to run to. خلاص. You're exposed. It's an ugly feeling. You're standing there and all happening, and there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to protect you anymore. There's no protection. There's nowhere you can go to seek protection and seek. No, خلاص. This is it. You're exposed to this, and you are vulnerable, and you're open to it, and you have to witness it. يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانِ. The human being will say on that day, أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُّ. Where do I go? I need to run. Point me in a direction that's safe. Nowhere. There's nowhere that's safe. There's nowhere to go. The mountains have crumbled. There's no mountains anymore. The valleys have been filled up. The water is burning. The earth is falling to pieces. People are running towards the Ard al-Mahshar. Why? Because the earth is collapsing behind them. If they stay where they are, they have to run. They're all being brought to the same space, exposed to all of these cosmic phenomena that are occurring around them. But the feeling inside is, Ayn al-Mafar, where do I go? Is there a place I can seek refuge? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers the question that the human being poses. كَلَّا لَا وَزَرْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُّ يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. So the answer comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Kalla, no, there's nowhere to go. There is no refuge. There's no place to run to. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ, where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go. Are you going to run away from God? There's nowhere to go. Where are you going to run away from? You can't get away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khalas, it's the day. You're going to, فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ. Khalas, the eyes are stunned. The moon is dimmed. And the cosmos are colliding. And you will ask yourself, the human being will ask, the first question is, where do I go? And the answer is, لَا وَزَرْ, there is no refuge. There's nothing to cover you anymore. Wizr is a word for sin because it covers the heart and it covers the good deeds. And that's where it comes. That's the root of the word. So wazr is a cover. There's no cover. La wazr. There's nowhere you can go and sit. It's raining, so you look for refuge. Look for a cover somewhere you can sit under, so you're not soaked. You look for something to protect you somehow. La, there's no protection. Khalas. La wazr. إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُّ. It's to your Lord on that day that the final destination will be. Al-Mustaqar is the final place, is where you will reside. Everything else in this world is temporary. Al-Qarar in Arabic is where things are steady, where they're safe, where they'll stay forever, like they won't move anymore. Al-Mustaqar, from that root, is the final destination, or your residing place. You'll find this word used when you're asked where do you مكان الإقامة or الاستقرار, right? Where do you live? Where do you live long term? Yeah, you're traveling around, understandably, but where do you live? Where do you actually stay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here the answer, إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ, the only place that you can run to. You're asking where the refuge is, where can I go? There is no protection except to look towards your Lord. إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ, you go back to Allah. That's where the mustaqar is. That is where the final destination is towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say all roads lead to Rome. All roads lead back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are marching towards Him. You are marching towards Him whether you know it or not. And it doesn't matter what path you take. It doesn't matter what path you take. It doesn't matter where you go. You will find yourself standing right in front of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever route you take, in whatever direction you go, you will find yourself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nowhere else to go. إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُّ يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ, the human being on that day. You can see the usage of the word insan in this surah is probably the most you'll find it in the whole Quran. Like in the Quran, the word, you can follow along the word al-insan, the human being. The frequency of it in Surah Al-Qiyamah is the highest in comparison to any other surah. Even the big ones, even the big surahs that have like way more pages, the frequency here is the highest. The usage of the word al-insan, which is the human being, points out that this experience and these questions and this issue is universal. It doesn't matter whether you're Arab or non-Arab, religious, non-religious, young, old, male, female. You're insan, you're a human being. This is your experience. This is how you feel. This is how you're going to think. And this relates to you specifically. As yunabba'ul insan, on that day, the human being, yunabba, will be given the information, meaning will be informed bima qaddama wa akhar, about the things that he did that pushed him forward. Qaddam, the stuff that he put forward that were of value, that took him a step forward, closer to God in a good way. Wa akhar, and the things that he did that pulled him back. You'll be informed of all the stuff that you did. Here's what got you forward, and here's what put you back. Here's what you did early on, qaddam, wa akhar, and here's what you did later in life. Both meanings are applicable for these words. You'll be informed of that. That's the story at the end. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ tells us in the Hadith al-Qudsi. يقول الله تعالى: يا ابن آدم إنما هي أعمالكم أحصيها لكم ثم أوفيكم إياها يوم القيامة فمن وجد خيرا فليحمدني ومن وجد غير ذلك فلا يلومن إلا نفسه. O human being, O son of Adam, all this story is just your deeds. I count them all for you, and then I deliver them to you Yawm al-Qiyamah. Those of you who find good within it, may they praise me. And those of you who find something else, then they have no one else to blame aside from themselves. And this is the story of our lives. Our existence is this as simple as that. There's really nothing else to it. We're just here for a short period of time, a number of rides around the sun, a few laps around the sun, and then khalas, we're gone forever. It's like we never were. It's very simple. No matter how much of an impact you leave, one meteor hits the planet and nothing's left. Yawm al-Qiyamah occurs and there's nothing left at all. No evidence that you ever breathed, took a breath, or did anything. It's very finite and fragile existence that we have here. It's very simple. We're very weak if you think about it. We don't have a lot of. It's a very short period of time. All the issue is you're going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's all going to be shown to you. It's going to be informed. Here's what you did. Here's what you did that was good. Here's what taqdeem, ma qaddam, and here's what you did that wasn't akhar. That's it. There's nothing more to it. There never was. Sometimes we overcomplicate the whole issue. Really do. We have a tendency to overcomplicate the issue and want to get into more details. There are no more details. It's very simple. You're here for a short period of time. Make the best of it. Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, all of it is going to be brought back. All right, let's see. Let's see what you did. Here's the good, here's the bad. We're going to add it up and see if it sends you in a direction. Because إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُّ. Because it's to your Lord where you're going to find your final destination. You can't run away. أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُّ? Where do I go? There's nowhere to go. Where did you think you were going to go? Where did you think you were going to run to? Run, go ahead. You'll find yourself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being offered your final destination depending on whatever it is that you chose to do within your life. And then we get another bell. Another bell in the surah. And as I pointed out to you a number of times, whenever you see it, you have to stop and revisit the meaning. Because bell is a sentence in the Arabic language. It tells you that, no, that's really not the problem. The real problem is the following. So I'll read the ayah and then inshallah I'll explain it to you. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرَهُ. So the ayah says, no, that's not the issue. It's not the issue that he wants to يَفْجُرْ أَمَامَهُ. It's not the issue that he's wondering, what is this Yawm al-Qiyamah? When is it happening? When is it going on? No. The real problem is that the human being, عَلَى نَفْسِهِ, regarding himself, regarding his choices, his intentions, his feelings, his emotions, his assumptions, his attitudes, his perspectives, his behaviors, his choices, basira. He has full insight. Al-basira is different than basar. Basar is to see, is the eyesight. Basira is insight. And فإنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور. As he says subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not the eyes that go blind. It's the hearts that are in the chest that go blind. It's when you lose insight or when you choose to ignore insight. Meaning you know why you are the way you are. No one else. Who else is going to know if not you? Who knows you more than you? No one will. You know why. You were given the tool by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know exactly why you did what you did. You know the intention behind it. You know what you were trying to do. You know how you felt, and you know. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ. This bell is saying, no. Forget about, it's not even that. It's not. First, the question was, the human being was not clear whether Allah could put together his bones again, and then the Quran said, no, that's really not it. That's what the human being says first. That's not really the reason. The reason that he wants guilt-free sin in the future. He doesn't want to have to be guilty anymore. But that's not really it. The real issue is that the human being knows he has full insight on himself. He has insight regarding himself. Ala nafsihi. The human being regarding ala nafsihi, basira, he is insight. It's not that he has insight. The ayah doesn't say he has insight. He is insight, like he has full insight. Whenever the ayah uses, when the Arabic is used that way, it doesn't say, but al-insanu lahu ala nafsihi basira. He has upon himself insight. When he removes that piece, and just says the human being upon himself is insight, meaning that he has full insight. He is capable of knowing everything. He knows it all. He just chooses to lie to himself and to others, to put up a front, to allow himself to do what he wants to do, and to ignore some facts that are painful to him, and to not need to change certain things about his character and his choices in life. We don't like answers to questions that require us to make different choices. We don't. We don't like to be told that we were the problem. It hurts. It's painful when someone comes out and says it was you. You're the reason this failed. We don't want that. We want some other. And we live in a time where that's very well. It's always, everything is sandwiched, and no one is hearing the honest truth about themselves anymore, and no one even knows what it sounds like, and no one can take feedback, and no one can be criticized, and no one can do this, and I don't know where we're going with all of it. Wallahi. I'm not sure how we're going to survive as a race, yani, if we can't just, you messed up. The whole thing was wrong. You did it wrong, without the person collapsing and requiring years of therapy and 2 years off it's a problem. الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة. The human being has insight, has full insight. You just choose not to take it. You knew that when you were a kid really well. When you were younger, you knew that really well, because it was still raw. So when you did something wrong, and you lied about it to your parents, and your parents didn't see you, and there was no cameras, you kept on doing it because you're like, in your mind, they can't know. They can't know because they weren't there. So they have to believe what I have to say, because it could have been that way. It could have happened that way. What do they know? It could have happened that way. And you stand by, and you defend an argument that is wrong and untruthful, just because you know that the person in front of you can't prove it. And because they can't prove it, you equate that to yourself. Well, if they can't prove it, that means it's not right. And we tell ourselves that. As children, we do this very well. We know what we did. We know why we did it. We know everything. Our parents are telling us, this is why you did it. But you're like, how do you know? You weren't there. You can't prove it, so it's not true because you can't prove it. Now, the reason that your parents know is because one day, once upon a time, they were you. And they did the same thing, and they remember why they did it. That's why they're telling you. But they won't tell you that, because it's embarrassing. But the parents, that's why. Like, the parents said, no, you did it because of this. Like, no, I didn't. And your dad's like, Habibi, you did it because of this. Oh, you didn't know. I know. How do you know? Because you're me. Because you are just a mini version of me. And I know me, so I know you. So stop lying to yourself. Right? But we're very good at human beings to say, no, you can't prove it, so it can't be correct. And I understand that as a kid, you're scared, so sometimes you do that. The problem is that keeps on going. You get really good at it after a while. You become very good at it. You get so good at it that you're like, there's never a reason for me to admit anything, unless I'm caught red-handed. And even then, I can find some way to shape the story, to sell a narrative that makes me seem less malicious than I actually was at the time. Because at the time, I was totally doing something wrong. I know it was wrong. I had the bad intention. I hated that person. I wanted to spite them and make them feel pain. And I got caught. I'm going to say something else. So Allah tells you, look, at the end, you know what you did and why you did it. He just said, يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَرَ. On that day, you'll be informed about what you did, good and bad. And the ayah says, no, but you don't really need to. You don't really need to, because the human being knows. The human being knows. He knows. He knows exactly why he did what he did. Who are you kidding? Who are you fooling? Some people will come and try and fool Allah يوم القيامة. They'll try. يوم يبعثهم الله جميعا فيحلفون له كما يحلفون لكم. Allah will resurrect them all on the Day of Judgment, and some of them will come and swear to God. I swear to you, I didn't do it for that reason, just like you swore to your parents. Swear to you, I didn't do it for that reason. Just like he swore to you, he swears to God. وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. And in their hearts, they think that they're going somewhere. They got something, that it's okay to do that. أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْكَاذِبُونَ. Indeed, they are the true liars. But they've lied so much that they don't even know what's truthful and what's not anymore. They've lost track of what's real and what's unreal, what's truthful, what's a lie. They don't even know. They've been lying through their teeth for so long. But you have basira. This is good news. I gave this khutbah a few weeks ago. This is good news for you. The good news for you as a human being is that you actually have insight. You are capable of figuring out your problems, accepting your blame with your conscience, and fixing your choices and being better. I often have meetings with people, and I speak to them, and after a few moments, I have to tell them, look, we're going to stop this. You don't have insight. You have no insight, and this is a waste of my time. Meaning you don't have the ability. You have chosen to completely disregard your share of the blame. You're coming to me to tell me a story. I can hear through your story that you're telling me the blame that needs to be applied to you, and you're telling me the story. Imagine if the other party told me the story. Like, you're telling me the story, I'm like, you're blamed for 1, 2, 3. Your narrative has holes in it. Imagine if the other person told me the story, what I would find. And if they can't apply blame to themselves, if they're not willing to see that, then I have to stop and say, I'm not doing this. I have a wife and family and kids, and I have a life, and I don't want to, end up throwing myself off a bridge at some point in my life. I don't need to hear this, because you have chosen to ignore your own insight. You have chosen to turn it off and lie to yourself. And lie to yourself and lie to yourself and convince yourself of the lie because you don't want to face it. But the problem, Yawm al-Qiyamah, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, you can't lie to Him. Because you'll open it all up, it's all there. Your thought process, your mind, your heart, it's all there. So you can't lie anymore. To me, you can lie because I can't see through you. I don't know. I can figure out certain things based on evidence, but I can't pinpoint it. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will. Then you won't need really. بل الإنسان على نفسه بصير ولو ألقى معاذيره. Even if he's dishing out, ألقى means throwing something out, throwing out all of his excuses. But this happened to me, and this happened to me, and that happened to me, and that occurred, and it was late, and I was tired, and they've been overworking me, and it's overburdened, and I whatever. Just all. Are you to blame for some of this? Yes. How much of it? Just be honest about that. At least with yourself. Even if you fail to do, wallahi, my advice to you is even if you fail to do that to others, like if you can't admit this to other people, may Allah forgive us. Even if for some reason you cannot admit this to other people, make sure, brothers and sisters, that you're capable at least to admit this to yourself. That between your own body, you're able to say, I was at fault for that. My intention was garbage from the beginning. I never meant well to start with. I was negligent. I was careless. I didn't listen. I knew what I was doing. Just don't lie to yourself, because wallahi, you do that, you can never get out. Like, once you start doing that, you start to lose your basira. You have it, but you start to cover it up. It's like a radio. It's like a radio. It's making noise, and you're putting blankets on top of it so you can't listen. You don't want to hear it anymore. And then it's there, and it's yelling at you and telling you the truth about yourself. It's giving you the insight, but you don't want to hear it. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's best to be honest to Allah and to people and to everybody. That's best, obviously. That's why I don't tell you to lie to people. Don't learn that from me today. Don't walk away saying, Sheikh said it's okay to lie to people. No, don't lie to people. But if for some reason you fail to admit to others, if you fail, do not fail to admit to yourself. Don't lose your own insight. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, and this is why this da'wah is so powerful, that just talk to your conscience. Use your own insight. You know that He's there. You know He's there. You know He's watching. You know what He's done for you. You know what you've done in return. Who are you kidding? You know. You can listen to an atheist argue this and someone argue that and whatever. You know He's there. You do. Deep inside, you know He's there. You know you're not alone. You know you've never been alone. You know that the story of your life there's something in it there for you. You know that. It's a part of your insight, you know it. But that means I'm responsible and I have to change my ways. And what I want to do is afjura amama. I want to live guilt-free, not owing nothing to no one, living however I want. When you're telling me that, no, there's always been a story. There's always been someone there. He's always cared. He gave you a lot, and he's expecting something for you. He's expecting for you to behave in some. He doesn't want anything in return for himself. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's expecting some. It puts responsibility upon you. You have to change. You have to be better. You have to. No one wants to do that. That's too much work. It's too much work. But the insan ala nafsihi basira. But the human being knows. Don't fool yourself. I always tell people at the end, I'm like, you can tell me whatever you want. You know. Just at least hold on to that, because that will save you Yawm al-Qiyamah. Wallahi, it will save you Yawm al-Qiyamah. Wallahi. Wallahi, just knowing the truth of what happened and not lying to God will save you. Wallahi, will save you. There'll be in a moment where you've made so many mistakes and you've lied to others, but as long as you just keep that insight piece there, where you didn't lie to yourself, you didn't lie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That'll be meaningful. Where you come to, because that will bring you with a level of humbleness and humility that will, inshallah, do you well. You'll come to Allah knowing, I know. You know the story of the guy who killed all these people, or the story of the guy with the 99, the hadith Muslim, yani Ahmad. The man who had 99 records of a'mal sayyah. Just record upon record of sin and corruption and extortion and theft and lying. Just garbage. They're just malaika, a couple of the malaika have to carry them one by one and put them there. It's ridiculous. Everyone's looking around. It's like it's a Burj Khalifa tower, which is a good analogy, by the way. A Burj Khalifa tower of sins in his scale, towering above everyone around him. Wallah, it's ridiculous. No one has seen anything like this. There's nothing in the other kaffa. Nothing at all. It's empty. Like everyone else has a little bit of a balance going on. If this is high, something. This guy is ridiculous. People are looking around. What's going on there? And they're just stacking him up. The story, and there's all these similar stories in the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah, so similar in the same thing. And then Allah, he's taken, but before he's taken, he's asked by God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يعني ألك عذر? Do you have an excuse for this? So his answer, لا, no. أظلمك كتبتي? Did my malaika who wrote this upon you, did they mistreat you? Did they lie about this? فقال لا, no. Well, that's me. I did all that. He had insight. Didn't argue, wasn't fighting, wasn't lying, he had that insight. He walks away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him back. أعيد علي عبدي, bring him back. فإن له عندنا بطاقة. There's still a piece that was not been added. So he's like, what? There's not. It's 99-0. There's 1 second left to the end of the game. The referee is going to blow the whistle. What's the point of the last game? There's no point, yani. It's one goal. It's 99. خلاص, it's over. The mubarah is done. لا يظلم عندنا أحد. No one is. You have one. فإذا فيها بطاقة. There's a card. وإذا مكتوب فيها لا إله إلا الله. And they throw it into the empty scale, and its weight is so heavy that it plummets that scale down, and the other scale goes flying into the sky with all of these records flying into nothingness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, وَلَا يَثْقُلُ مَعَ اسْمِي شَيْءٍ. And nothing is heavier than my name. And the servant finds forgiveness. And the guy who kills the 99 nafs, same thing. And there's all these examples in the sunnah. You know what they have in common? Each and every one of them sat there quietly. Argued nothing. Gave no argument. They said, yep, that's me. And I made all those mistakes. I have nothing to say for myself. That can save you. Just having that basira, where I'm not going to act like I deserve better, or I was mistreated, or I'm better than this. I know myself. Yeah, I was full of it. I was. Ya Rabb, dakhilak. I have nothing to say aside from your mercy. I have nothing else. That is so valuable to have in your heart, where you know that basira is powerful. Like, we all sin, we all make mistakes, but as long as you look at yourself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your opinion is like, yeah, I have nothing to say for myself. I'm ashamed of what I've done. I'm ashamed of how I've behaved. And I have nothing to defend myself with. I have nothing to defend myself with. What am I going to tell you? You gave me everything, I repaid with nothing. You blessed me in a million ways, and I was ungrateful the whole time, complaining and making a mess, and didn't do it right. I don't have anything to say. That attitude is very, that's why that basira is so powerful. Because without that basira, you'll come and swear, no, I didn't do this, no, I was like that, that's not true, and because you've cooked your narrative. You've twisted all of the facts to make it seem like you weren't, well, but my parents were this, and oh, I was hard, and oh, school was difficult, and oh, the people said this to me, and I was self-conscious about this part of my life, and I was always, and maybe you were. I'm not saying you weren't, but you just don't lie to God. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. The human being has that. He has that ability. وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. Even if he throws all of his excuses at you. Throwing all these excuses. This is why I didn't. Yeah, I can't beat the excuses. Yeah, when you're a kid, you can win. You have all these excuses, and your parents can't. Your mom gets tired after a while. She's tired. You have 3 or 4 kids. She's tired. You have a million answers and 50 excuses for why you didn't do your thing. She's tired. Like, fine, just go away. Khalas, whatever. Your father is coming from work. He's been working for 10 hours straight. He can barely stand on his feet. He's starving. He has no time to yell at you. Khalas. You want to lie to yourself? You want to live a lie? Go ahead. Be my guest. Live your lie. I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't do that. As a young person, don't allow yourself to, don't walk down that path where you become very good at lying to yourself, selling that lie, and sitting back consequence-free, guilt-free, when you know what you did. Don't do that. This is my sincere advice as an older brother to you. It's just not worth it. Life is not worth living that way. Learn that to strengthen that conscience, to strengthen that basira, that insight that you have, and then apply it to yourself so that you can grow, so that you can become a better person, so that every time you mistake, you learn from it, and you accept the accountability for it, and you take a step forward, so that by the time you're an adult, you've improved as a human being. Let's read the last piece here. I'll explain it and then we'll let you go, inshallah. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. 2 ways to understand these verses. One of them as a interjected sentence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam specifically, telling him regarding revelation, don't move your tongue quickly. لا تحرك به لسانك, don't move your tongue, trying to get ahead of it, to memorize. إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه. It's upon us to put the Quran together, recite it to you. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ. When we recite it to you, you recite it back and think, ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا, and then we'll explain it to you. So don't worry, we'll take care of that. And that's a very good explanation. It's correct. There's nothing wrong with that tafsir. I tend to take the tafsir of others, and Mujahid al-Dhahhak and other tabi'een, who looked at it a little bit differently. Because the flow to me is not this. The flow is of Yawm al-Qiyamah, which is what the story is. I see this as something said to someone who is actually reading from his own book on that day. The person who is standing with his book, who has basira, who knows? يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ. The human is going to be told what he did. How is he going to be told? He's going to give it a book. He's going to read from that book. But he has insight. He knows, regardless of what, he knows what he's done. لَا تُحَرِّكْ بِهِ لِسَانَكَ لِتَعْجَلَ بِهِ. Don't read quickly. Try to get through things. You know when something is embarrassing, so you don't want to linger on it. So you want to quickly get through this passage that talks about a horrible thing you've done too quickly. لا تحرك به لسانك. Don't get ahead of the recitation. لتعجل به. Trying to get ahead of the passage that we're talking about. Slow down. Slow down. We're going to talk about this together. إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه. We put the book together for you, and we're the ones who are going to have it recited for you, nice and slow. فإذا قرأناه, as it's being recited for you, فاتبع قرآنه. Follow along with the recitation of this book. ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. And then it's upon us to clarify it all for you. Here's what you did. The human being, يُحَرِّكْ لِسَانَهُ. He's like, oh, I did this and this. No, what are you doing? Slow down. You think we put this book together so that you could quickly jog through the pieces you don't like? No. Slow down. We're going to read it for you nice and slow. And then, عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. We're going to clarify it all for you. I'm going to explain exactly why you did what you did. The problem is, you know, that's why you're speeding through it. That's why you speed through it, because you know. There's fault here. There's nothing you can really defend yourself with. You defended yourself in dunya, you found a way around it. But in akhirah, there's nothing to defend yourself. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. If you acknowledge that and you paid for it and you repented for it, inshallah, Rabbna yaghfir lak, Allah will forgive you. But if you didn't, then you're stuck. You're stuck with this ugly moment where you're reading through your book and you really don't want to read this piece. Like, I don't want to talk about this. So you start quickly getting through it. لا تحرك به لسانك. Don't move your tongue, please. Don't quickly. لتعجل به. Trying. العجلة is to hastily move through something. لتعجل, trying to get through it hastily. No. إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه. The gathering of all of this was upon us, and Qur'an and the recitation of it is going to be upon us as well. فإذا قرأنا, once we recite it, follow along. فاتبع قرآنه. Follow along. See what you did. ثم إن علينا بيانه, and we will clarify it for you. And the human being either will admit that or won't. Some people won't. Some people won't admit it. Some people will have completely shut down their consciences and shut down their insight to the point where they won't. So Allah will bring witnesses. يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون. A day will come where their tongues and their hands and their feet will testify. Say, no, we did this. وقالوا لجلودهم لما شهدتم علينا. Why did you? And then you'll look at your hand. Why did you do this? Why did you testify against me? I'm trying to protect us. قالوا أنطقنا الله الذي أنطق كل شيء. The one who made us speak is the one who makes everything speak. We told the truth. Like Allah will bring a witness from yourself. You didn't do that, and then your hand will speak. No, I did. I took it. I hit it. I stole it. I slapped it. I did it. The foot will be, yep, I walked towards that. I did it. And you're like, no, we didn't. And no, your skin will testify because it was there. It was you. You did it. But you don't want to admit it. So Allah will bring you to admit it. He'll bring other parts of you to make that admission so that you stop. Why are you lying? Stop it, stop it, stop it. You have basira, you have the insight, you know that you're lying, stop doing it. That's the powerful piece of this surah. It reminds you. It's a beautiful piece of da'wah, honestly. Talks to that part of you. You know the truth. You know what's real. You have a conscience that tells you what's right and wrong. And you know that He's there, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have that insight. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Why don't you tap into that? Instead of fighting it, instead of running away from it, instead of being scared of it, tap into it. It's beautiful. It'll bring fulfillment and satisfaction to your life. You'll live better, live happier, live with more satisfaction and peace in your life. Just tap into it. I'll end with that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll continue the recitation, inshallah ta'ala, next week. سبحانك وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه جزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.